Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel, the series, the Flow interview series. I'm back with my guest, Natty. Shout out to Natty.
Hello.
Shout out to her for taking the time to finish off the interview we had last time. This is a continuation. If you're interested in seeing the original interview I had with Natty last week, the video is on the channel. I suggest looking back at it. We covered some interesting topics regarding our community on NF, and Natty did a great job of carrying the interview. The date is 21 June 2023. It is a sunny day over here in Washington State. Natty, how is it over where you're at?
It's sunny, but it was raining all weekend.
Yeah, I'm definitely not reading from the script right now. Your week's been pretty productive?
Wrote shit down. Yeah, kind of. I've been doing work modules and stuff.
Okay.
I'm learning. My brain's expanding.
And what have you been up to?
I had a party on Saturday, and then I played Diablo and did some work stuff.
I've been reading your posts actually. It seems like you just living your best life in comparison to me. I feel like my life's just been work, a little bit of studying on the side with some stuff I'm trying to work on. But I feel like when I read your posts, you always going out to a party or something. You living your best romantic life, definitely.
I am fucking. Who was I talking to? I think I was talking to QB, and I think we were talking about drugs or something. And I said my age, which is 31, and he's like, "No way." And I'm like, "What do you mean, no way?" He's like, "I thought you were 24." I'm like, "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?"
I feel like a lot of people on NF I don't know. I feel like a lot of people talk more jaded in comparison to way back then. But maybe you have a little bit more pep in the way you create your posts. I don't know. You seem more energetic and full of life in comparison to the rest of us.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah. So let's continue forward. We talked earlier regarding leftist politics and how you consider yourself a leftist.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You stated that LGBTQ rights was a contributing factor as to why you gravitated towards leftism. Am I paraphrasing that correctly?
I guess so. I fell more left as a result of it.
Yes.
I guess in a lot of ways, especially in queer stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What any other avenues though that heavily push you towards leftism, such as world events, reading socialist theory, the social circles you were a part of?
A lot of stuff actually. I guess reading some people's stuff on NF helped a little bit because I can't read a book to save my life. I have terrible ADHD, so a lot of the theory I read is either stuff regurgitated by other people, which is terrible, or YouTube videos. I can't really pick a very specific thing. Yeah, so a lot of it is my own experiences with other people and how they struggle.
Yeah.
I have some family members that fell into drugs, and it's there's nothing out there to help them, which is there should be, and there just isn't. But yeah, the queer stuff especially. The queer stuff is the major catalyst for me. It's just how it is by default, being I guess a minority. Just sort of will usually radicalize you in one way or another.
Yeah, especially one thing I want to ask that kind of correlates to that last question I asked. Do you feel like when in 2016, did that have a huge, I feel like radicalism and people speaking picking extreme sides on both political within a political atmosphere, whether it's socially or economically, people were swinging hard left or hard right. There was some people were calling themselves centrists. Did that have the same effect over in Canada?
Well, yeah, that's an online thing, right? When was when was Gamergate? 2014, 2015, 2016?
It was 2013, I want to say. 2013 to 2015, and it was so damn annoying watching people complain about that shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really bad, but that was the very first instance of extremism, especially on the right wing, that kind of festered in a small way and got like so many people, because like, what was it, Steve Bannon said it was probably the greatest recruitment tool that they've had. um
Yeah, he did say that. He did.
so like, I feel like it came ahead. I think when was Charlottesville? That was around 2015, right? Charlottesville.
Yeah, we had so many like tragedies over here in the U.S. I can't even remember. Like they all start to blur in together to me. But like around that same time, yeah. Let me
Because
look
yeah,
at it.
that's when what is it? No, that's 2017. Uh, yeah. Then Charlottesville happened, and either that was like the January 6th kind of stuff, where a lot of people on that side, or who followed Gamergate, either realized, oh shit, I'm allying with Nazis, or they just, you know, denied it and continued.
I feel like did you notice that on NF? Well, no, you weren't even on NF during that time.
Uh,
You
well,
weren't.
there's like after effects of it on NF. Like,
Yeah.
there was a lot of people around the time that I joined, especially in the cafe. There's a lot more right leaning people in the cafe. I don't say that positively because I'm not a huge fan of them, but
Yeah. I
uh,
I believe and one person in particular, he's still active. I think he was one of the like he got tied into that Gamergate stuff and it's have like a huge contributing notion when it comes to him. Like a lot of his takes, I feel like I'm like in the same era of Gamergate. But that's what you just described, how people were allying with Nazis and stuff like that. Um, it was unfortunate, but I feel like a lot of I would consider very smart individuals, they didn't even realize it because all you see is like YouTube videos of like some goofy ass liberal with purple hair or something like that. I'm not going out hard on people with purple hair, but I'm just saying
yeah,
like I think you get the point that I'm trying to make. That was highly used and it was it was like drilled in all of our heads. Not just on YouTube, not just everywhere on social media, but on NF too. It was just like people just finding the most insane examples of a liberal and trying to
yeah,
make it seem like, all right, this is what the left is turning into. And it was like it had people like I consider really smart, almost they almost seem the same to consider themselves a leftist and all that. And I think, but on the height of it, it was all just it's all just liberalism, conservatism, and it's just kind of just that social war dynamic. It has nothing to do with economics or anything like that. Social issues are still important. I don't want to demean that, obviously, but it was really weird. Did you notice that?
yeah. It's knee jerk reactionary politicking, where it's like, oh, look at this whack job. Like, be mad about something that they're passionate about, and like the idea of like SJWs, like that was a thing. Uh, like hating on SJWs at that time, and you still see people harping on that, not necessarily using SJW, but using the like but calling them woke. It's just changed wording, like verbiage a little bit, because hating on SJWs is old shit. Although some people still follow, like say the same shit. They're reading the same script from back then. It's ultimately just reactionary shit, where it's like, oh, this person looks foolish, I'll laugh at them, and they slowly veer further and further right. Uh, Same thing happens to the left, where it's like, oh, this dude's like fashy,
Yeah.
uh, and then for drifts further and further left. But I feel like one is much worse than the other, where you have literal Nazis in the streets doing Sieg Heil, like the like Hail Hitler salute and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and legitimately committing violence, and for the for what, protecting, I don't know, protecting something that there's no basis on. Like
Uh,
that's what turfism is falling into. Well,
that's
has fallen into.
I feel like that's a whole nother topic. Obviously, like
Yeah, obviously,
you
yeah.
dissect that, you open the door for like a lot of conversations. But I want to say, a lot of people. I had a friend, and she explained it to me really well. there are people who claim like, oh, I used to be a leftist or I'm a centrist and yada blah blah blah. At the end of the day, you know what your value after a certain age. Once you're like a young adult, young to mid adult, you know what your political stances are. Now there might be some flexibility. You're still because I mean we're all still growing and developing, even within our 30s. You know,
Yeah.
you have an open mind. You're still figuring stuff out. But people who are like some of the stuff that people were fighting for or fighting against and stuff like that, there was no reason for it to even be a discussion. Like we're talking about universal health care in the United States and all that. And let's say you have some crazy ass leftist making like not crazy ass leftist, but someone who feels very passionate about it does a take on it, but they look goofy. At the end of the day, like we all know that their heart's in the right place, but then like someone's like, oh well, I used to be a leftist until like the left started turning towards communism. Is people just not having a good framework? Number one. Number two, these people knew for a fact they were never a part of the left. Is this something that they say to kind of add more weight to their statements? You know, like if we're protesting for Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Now I have a lot of issues with BLM, but it's nothing from the right. I challenge it from the left and all that, more organization, less co-opness, and having a more center of gravity in terms of like, hey, what are we pushing forward as opposed to like just like I feel that's a whole nother topic. But my thing with it is I look at it from the perspective of what people are challenging it from. If you just don't like the fact that BLM is a thing, I don't see how like you can consider yourself an ally for equality and all that once you look into the nuances and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were there any political activists, or were you about to say?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Are there any political activists or movements that inspired you within the past few years, or it could be like 100 years?
Past few years, I read a lot about and learned about feminist theory.
Okay.
And like feminist movements, like the suffragettes, first, second, third wave feminism, and all that stuff. What is it? Is it Julie Bindel? I think was pretty rad for a bit. God, we were just talking about this, I think, a few months ago. I forgot who I was talking about, but it was something about men and women. And I think in the relationship thread that me and you talked about a while ago, I cannot remember it.
I remember, we talked about, I remember I was in a discussion with you about something in particular, and it was talking about about like how, I think how we talk around the subject of feminism, us not really understanding how to engage in the conversation and the atmosphere. Like, am I remembering correctly?
I think so. It was about a specific quote from a specific philosopher, fairly recent one. Don't remember. It doesn't really matter. Because ultimately she was a quack. She had some cool things to say, but she was ultimately a quack.
Yeah.
I don't know. As far as like activism stuff goes, I like on Twitter, Katie Montgomery is pretty good. Okay. She's a trans rights activist. Fuck. What's there's another person. I don't remember her name anymore. She is married to one of the married to a trans politician in the States. Don't remember her name. I have trouble with names. But she does the same thing. She reports on like trans care bans and victories in the court and all that with trans healthcare bans and I don't know, transport bans and stuff. That being said, I'm starting to get a little bit jaded following them, not because I don't agree with them, but because it's the same thing every time.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Like I don't know. I can only see the same arguments against that stuff until I'm just like, man, you could just copy and paste tweets or posts and just be fine with that. Like it's the same arguments over and over again.
I noticed with the cafe, there are certain threads people make. Obviously, they're bait threads, and so people just go out of their way to find specific types of news and post it.
Yeah.
But I remember like before I took my break, so I'm talking like 2013 to like when I would look at a cafe off and on to like 2017.
Yeah.
Somebody would post a thread, people would just be going at it. But nowadays I see some people just like post bait threads. What makes it funny is sometimes like someone makes like a completely off the wall post or something like that. And someone who I know who's in defiance of that particular stance, they post right after them and they don't even quote them or nothing like that. Everyone's just kind of just like jaded of a whole bunch of stuff. I think whether it's especially regarding things about politics, everyone's just kind of like, yeah, I got my opinion. This motherfucker's stupid. I'm not gonna try to argue with you up and down. I feel like that's
yeah, absolutely. Fucking God, there's some threads that like Crown Eagle would make where it's like he's posting it, but he's in opposition of it, and then replies afterwards. Or I see like I actually read most posts before I even post something. So if like big waste of time, I know. But yeah, if there's a thread with like I don't know, I read there's like 100 posts per page for me in my settings for some reason. So like if it's 2 pages, I will literally read every single post. If I'm not quoting something directly, I'm trying to address things generally speaking. But yeah, a lot of people just don't even read the thread. I remember there's some trans threads that I participated in where fucking people were bringing up arguments way after the fact that have already been like kind of addressed directly with somebody else who said the exact same thing. It's kind of
those are the worst. Those are the worst.
Very annoying. It is so annoying. They just spit out a fucking opinion and like good for you, buddy, but please we're why are you posting on a forum?
I appreciate it a lot more. Like there are certain users. I think I've done it maybe once or twice. Someone's just all like, I'm not gonna read all this because someone just give me the too long didn't read to the past like 6 or 7 pages or like sometimes 13 pages. But yeah, definitely.
God, the most annoying posts are people like you write a long post and then people pick it apart line by line and don't get like the entire context of the post.
Oh man, annoying. Those are the worst. Because I'm like,
and it takes years to reply back.
Man. I can't. Like, I fucking hate that shit. It's funny that you mentioned Crown Eagle though, because the dude's got me on ignore, but like I think I've talked about him 2 times counting now on my YouTube channel. I wonder how he feels that some guy has been talking about him like 2 different times on a YouTube channel.
That dude fucking takes it up the ass for trans porn. I swear to God, I don't think I've seen. Oh God, cis people who are obsessed with trans news are some kind of. I don't know. They're wilding. They're out of control. They're more on the beat in some ways than I am about trans news, and it's stupid.
Yeah. I want to say more, but I gotta conduct myself as an interviewer. But yeah, when you were talking about one thing I need to practice more that you mentioned that you do, you read the entire thread. I just go ahead and just respond up in that shit. Sometimes I don't even know what the fuck I'm like. I don't even have the full information, but I see someone said something, and I'm all like, "Oh, I'm gonna roll the dice on this." But I think I have like a pretty good success rate. Sometimes I say something, and I'm all like, "Oh damn." Like I won't return back if I say something stupid. And everyone like very rarely I say something stupid. Very rarely. I want to point that out. But when someone gets me, if I don't respond back in it, either. Rarely, sometimes that like I just don't feel like responding, but other times I'm just like, no, I want this to blow over. I don't want to come back.
Sometimes I do the same thing. It's not worth continuing a fight that I know that I've already not necessarily lost, but I'm like, okay, like I get it. This is where it'll end. I don't know. For me, it's like if I don't feel like I have anything new to contribute, I won't contribute. Like I don't see the point in that. Like it's not worth dispensing my energy in it, so I just don't. And I don't think it's worth the time to read something that's already been said. Like my pet peeve is people repeating themselves or me having to encounter repeating information. So I'm not going to partake. That's generally how I go. Or if I don't know too much about it, I just won't say shit about it. You know, people are, a lot of people go with the fucking shotgun approach where even if they know nothing about the topic specifically, they'll say something about it and like, just shut up. You don't need to put your opinion out there for everything, even stuff that you don't know about.
That's one thing I wanted to get into. Let me go ahead and reorientate myself on this script. Why do you feel as though so many people who post in the cafe are extremely difficult to be corrected, despite being shown objective facts that debunk portion of their obvious ideological beliefs? So obviously we talked about, hey, like I was upfront. Like when I say something stupid, very rarely do I say something stupid. I just want to point that out. But like when I say something stupid, I don't want to come back to the thread, and I'm just like, oh man, like I really fucked the pooch on this. I'm gonna come back. So I just won't post in there. Like sometimes, but I think I gotten better at like acknowledging, hey, like this is an L. Hey, my bad. Hey, I'm sorry. Especially if I say something insensitive and like the person, like, but just in particular, like, why do you? Besides that, why do you feel like so many people are hard set in their beliefs, even being shown objective facts? I think the most powerful thing about it is like the person just it's public on the internet. Everyone wants to keep their like credibility on the cafe and stuff like that. They don't want to be looked at as incompetent or stupid.
Yeah. I think you nailed it there. I think a lot of it is to do with pride and humility. It is hard to be to practice humility in any shape or form, because I try to do it as much as I can, but it's so hard. It's like pulling teeth sometimes to be like, you know what, I was wrong on this. I think that's a lot of it. Some of it is that. Some of it is trolling. Some members love to get other people like mad about something, or love to get insulted back as a response. Like there's no doubt in my mind, because I've insulted many people. I flamed many people on there, especially if they're difficult. And like, you know what? It kind of feels good to flame sometimes, and it feels good when it's like, oh yeah, I got you mad, fucking idiot. So I think it's both of those things. Because yeah, there's some members who, if you correct them, they will immediately pop off and get mad at you about it.
Do you feel like you're fair to people? What's the terminology? Steel man someone's argument. I feel like you talked a little bit about it on our last interview, AFG. I feel like now there are people who like he just kind of goes off on, but I think he's the type of person that like you say something. Resner and AFG, I would say those two in particular, they'll try to frame your argument in the best capacity, as opposed to just like framing it in the worst manner. You know, like not steel manning someone's argument. It's not as though like, oh, if you don't do that, like you're not being fair. But I feel like in the cafe, nobody does, like just about nobody does that.
Yeah, I think you mean like yeah, put it in the most kindest way, not, or like someone's argument in the most generous capacity that it could be.
Yes. Like I'm gonna look at it in the most credible sense. I'm not gonna think that you're an idiot or like you're like this, but there are certain things that like, hey, like if you say something and you cross I feel like a red line, there's no reason to try to steel man that person's argument, because they've already crossed the point. But sometimes someone may say something that's kind of like raises a few eyebrows. I feel like more people should practice that, including myself.
Yeah, I think there's a really good post by AFG. I think well, there's many good posts of his, but like I think one of them he was talking to Spock, and even though with Spock's current history, and he's very aware of it, I think it was very recently too, like a recent post of his where he tried to frame like her side of things as being like I can empathize with this and this, like in the kindest way possible, and then said like, oh, but it has no evidence for it. Which is honestly like, oh, that's an admirable thing. But I also think a lot of some people don't necessarily deserve that. It's not like we're talking to like these arguments and stuff, these opinions that people are saying come from a vacuum. We know exactly what, or we don't know exactly what they're thinking, but we know generally how they argue and what they say all the time, and like the kind of line that they ride all the time. Like, everyone knows what Ryatsu flow is about. Everyone knows what I don't remember his name, Oro is all about. Everyone knows what I'm about, right? So it's like, okay, I can at least say some good things in good faith to so and so, but I know this person is not coming here in good faith. So why should I even bother? Because when you're arguing with somebody on the internet, you're never going to convince the person who you're arguing against. You are almost never going to. You're going to convince the people that are reading it.
Exactly.
And it doesn't, and half the time, honestly, it doesn't matter if you're that mean to them or not. Sometimes you can come off a bit unhinged, but sometimes you can be mean to somebody, and it won't change their opinion. You can be kind to them, it won't change their opinion, but people reading it will take notice and be like, okay, this person's clearly, or this person's very much in the wrong in this capacity. This person has evidence to support their stuff, and that's kind of the people that, like, I think people are who argue in the cafes should be aiming towards. People get too focused on arguing against another person. That's not who you are convincing.
They get personally involved with it. Sometimes I catch myself doing that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you get yourself in the thick of things.
Yeah, like especially with certain posters. I just a few. You saw me going back and forth with Spock. I had it out with Voyeur. Like, who else have I had it out with? Like, I think that's like the only two that I really been going at it. But like, I don't know. Like, how part of the time when I'm really, I don't know, how do I really put this? There was a portion of that beef with Spock, like I wasn't taking it seriously. I was like leaving ship post after ship. I don't want to do like, oh, dude, I was just trolling.
Yeah,
I don't mean to be like that, but like literally, like I was screenshotting some of the stuff that I was posting and sending it to Tachi. Like I was like, bro, this shit is so fucking funny. Like I'm leaving, like it's just a continuous back and forth and everything. With Voyeur, though, no, like that he just annoys me. He honestly just fucking annoys me. He called me, I don't even know if he's black, or even if he is black, he called me a nigga one time. But anyways, I'm not making this like a bitch fest and all that. But like when I get pissed off at someone, I get pissed off at someone. But very few people in the cafe, like I'm like, oh, I don't like you. But I've been trying to work on how I come across to people, because I feel, I don't know, I can't, it's all words and shit. And I want to ask you about it. Like, I feel like things are lost within context and reasoning when you're just reading someone's post and you're not really getting the way me and you are communicating right now, even though it's not in person. We can both get a feel of how the other person is emotionally, and where they're coming from and stuff like that. But
all that's lost on text.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes. And it's so easy to read things like incorrectly, interpret things incorrectly when there's, tonality could be like, I write kind of like how I talk, and that can be lost, like tonally, like my tone could be all over the place on my post specifically because of that. No one can know what I'm saying because, I'm not actually voicing it out loud.
Yeah.
So like no one knows if you're actually mad. No one knows if you're shit posting half the time. Like that's a fine line sometimes. Like if I'm being sassy to someone, it's like, oh, are you mad?
You mad, I feel like bitch? When you shit posting though, it's really obvious when you're shit posting. Like Bazua and Jim, I can't tell sometimes, but I think like man, 85-90% of the time he's just shit posting. I
No,
feel like
you know when Jim is shit posting because he says JK at the end. It's so easy for him.
no, there's been times where I've seen him argue with people, and I'm all like, dude, like you have like a really dumb stance right here. But I think he's just arguing that stance to piss the other person off. Like I saw him and DDJ going, like, what was it about? DDJ, like he misread one of Jim's posts, and it was obvious. Like he was just like, Jim said something, and DDJ read his post as if he was saying something bad about women or something like that. And Jim was just like, he kept on feeding into it, but he was replying, quote unquote, seriously to DDJ, and DDJ couldn't, like, they argued for like a page and a half.
Yeah.
And eventually I pointed out, like, DDJ, he's trolling you. He's not being serious. He never returned back to that thread after that. But like,
Jim is very much someone who's petty enough to go to pick on one weird little thing that they've said and just fucking smash it into the ground until the other person seems like angry or annoyed. And I think Jim does do it on purpose, but also I think he's just that kind of person who, like, if you misspoke something, he's going to fucking drill that into the ground, make you admit that you misspoke or something. And
did you see that argument I had with him in the relationship thread?
Recently, no, but I know, God, Jim is so fucking mean to DTJ. There's a lot of people who are so mean to him or like so uncharitable towards him. Sometimes for good reasons, but God, the amount of shade that Jim throws to that guy is I don't want to say legendary because it's not a good thing, but fuck, it is awful. It's just like saying the most meanest stuff in the most calmest way.
He's been doing that for a good minute, and I've been calling him out on it, and he's just all like, how am I being mean to him? How am I being mean? And he was just all like, I was like, bro, it's obvious what you're doing and shit. And he was just like, well, he agrees with it. And I was just like, I don't even respond to that because I don't like being on the soapbox too much.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where just being honest and pointing things out of nowhere, like so far back, is actually rude. Like those things can be very rude. Because someone like DDJ is learning about stuff, right?
How long has Jim been doing that stuff? Like with DDJ, how long has he been doing that?
Oh God, he's been so I've actually introduced Jim to NF.
Really?
Yes. I invited him to one of the Anime Fall servers, and then I was sharing posts by a certain member, and he was a big fan of that poster because that poster was insane. And Jim got a kick out of it. Like he loved his posts because they're so fucking like schizo posting. So yeah, I introduced Jim to NF. So either congratulations or curse me for that one.
Like the whole time, like I remember before I left Cafe Chord back around 2019, I remember seeing Jim, you and Jim in there, but I was just like, who the fuck is Jim? Like I said, Natty. I was like, I really don't know who Natty is, but like, who's Jim? Like, it's like someone changed their name or something. And then, like, I left, but then I would browse NF and I would start seeing Jim's posts. I was like, I really don't know who the hell this guy is. I just don't.
He's just a weird little guy.
Yeah. He's a very interesting character. Like, I don't know if I asked him if I want to do the interview, but like, I don't know if he would take it seriously, you know?
Apparently he's done voice chats. I know when I first met him like fucking 7 years ago, he did not do voice chats. But people have said that like he's a real person because he does voice chats. So
but he's pretty much had the same personality the whole time that you known him.
Oh yeah, he's very much pretty much the same. Oh God, like he's really good at continuing drama. That's one thing. I got implicated.
I asked you earlier. Me and him argued in a relationship thread months ago.
Yeah.
He'd probably be like, oh, I wasn't. Who was arguing? He might try to.
Yeah, he would do that. It's like, I wasn't arguing.
I was going like, oh man, I don't know. It was something about some guy and like he was depressed and going through some stuff, and I was just like, oh nah, like I can't remember the argument, but I just remember me and him were going back at it back and forth, and like what's her name? Piff was like cheerleading for him, and it pissed me off. People were like cheerleading for Jim, and I'm like, bro, like he has the dumbest fucking position here, and you guys are all like celebrating him and like cheerleading him.
I
got
thought
kind of salty about that.
the most insane Jim post I think I've seen in the relationship thread was something about someone like losing their child or something, like the child died, and then him saying like not like a poster, but just in general.
Yeah.
And Jim said something about like, why don't they just get a new one? It's like the same thing, right? And it's like, no, it's not, Jim. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like he's like he does that like internet edgy humor type stuff, and I'm just like,
I don't even know. He's so eclectic that I don't know if he's serious or not. And like he's been the same way since I met him 7 years ago. So it's like, man, this is a long bit that he's doing. Which makes me doubt that it is a bit. It's like DGJ. People thought DGJ was a troll for years, and then Love on the Spectrum came out, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess he's real, right?
How did you find out about him being on Netflix, DDJ?
He posted about it.
I didn't know about it. Itachi told me about it because AFG told him about it. He was just like, I can't believe this. Like. I guess AFG or Itachi, they were talking with each other, and one of them said, like, this guy is legitimately a Netflix star. Like, he's outside. Like, DJJ is literally outshining all of us on NF. Like, this dude's got clout. He's got a following. He's got, like, followers. Like,
yeah, he's a minor celebrity. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's why I would never want to have him on this interview thing. Like, I wouldn't want to, like, do that because, number one, it was, I think, 2 people asked me like, "Oh, you should interview DDJ," and I'm just like, I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't want to do one because I don't want it to make it seem as though like, oh, I'm trying to like interview a mini celebrity. That's not what I want to do. Number 2, DDJ himself. I think
it's hard to know what he would say.
Yeah, I don't know what he would say, and I feel like people would watch for nefarious reasons and stuff like that, or ulterior motives. I cannot fucking speak to that. I'm like stuttering, like I got a speech impediment or something. But yeah, we kind of went off the tangent right there. Like we kind of like really went off the train tracks.
That's
but yeah, it was like enjoyed it. What was it? Where are we at now? Oh yeah, about regressive viewpoints. So like. It's easy for like people in general to shun others in the cafe for having viewpoints that we find regressive. Like you told me beforehand that you had regressive viewpoints growing up that you don't agree with now, you're ashamed of. What caused you to change your stances?
It's usually
what in particular were those regressive stances? Kind of like give us a backfill and explain what caused you to change your stances to where they're at now.
I think I said like some of my stances were about I think the main ones were trans, but like progressive for trans stuff back then was like I just don't think they're real. I haven't met one, so how could they be real? And another one was like about Aboriginal people. I got some bad ideas filled in by my dad. So like coming to like, because I used to be a small town girl, so coming to the city, and it's just usually the way people get out of their own prejudices is by meeting other people.
Yeah.
So like I met one trans person, and that instantly kickstarted like both my transition and my sort of enlightenment about, oh, trans people are just normal people. They're just rare, especially at that time. And then for Aboriginal people, it's like, yeah, I just talked to other Aboriginal people. It's like, oh, okay. Like these ideas that I had weren't accurate or good. And I think I had one talk with a friend where I mentioned something offhand, something that my dad's told me. And she said, Nat, that's kind of racist. And I thought about it like on the spot, and I was like, yeah, I think you're right.
It's good to have people like some friends will just enable that stuff, or they'll be uncomfortable, kind of quiet, or brush it aside. But it's good to have people that kind of like put us in check and stuff like that.
Exactly, that's pretty important. But yeah, that's all I can really think of as far as my regressive viewpoints and like what's changed them.
Yeah, I grew up in I was born in Cali, but I grew up different spots of the all across the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like just multiculturalism, but a lot of Black and Latino neighborhoods and stuff like that. And a lot of unfortunate for me to say, but like a lot of Black communities in the U.S. were like very conservative when it comes to social issues regarding like LGBTQ. So
Yeah.
what makes it interesting though, I can't even remember when I knew like gay was a thing or anything regarding LGBTQ. I think when I became aware of it was when I was like around 10, 11 years old or something like that. And I was just like, oh, that's surprising. I think like I saw the so-called the L word or something like that. And it was the L word and then Queer as Folk. Like those are like the two big shows. And I was just like, that's so like they like each other. And my cousin, like she was she was really into that stuff. Both of those shows. And she was like they're gay, and she was explaining to me what it was, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm just like, wait, how are they supposed to have children and stuff like that? So I was just completely ignorant. Then like I get to school and I hear everyone saying, oh, he's gay, like hearing like every single dude like is just calling each other's gay. It's an insult. So I don't even know, like first I didn't know what the word meant, but when I knew what gay meant, I was just like, oh yeah,
it's a bad thing. Yeah.
But like I didn't consider it a bad thing. You know, you're trying to fit in and stuff like that. So
exactly.
I started parroting it, like, oh, that person's gay, they're gay. When I started seeing in television, I started making fun of it. Like I would just like really, and my parents at first they were kind of just like quiet, but then like my dad just called me in like his study. He talked to me. He's just like, first of all, like he told me you're looking down on those people. Like the first time, like one of the few times my dad ever talked to me about stuff in that nature. But he said it's not good, number one, but number two, you're very like emotionally vested into it, and I'm curious as to why. And I was just like, well, no, like they're gay and stuff. That's all I can really say. They're gay and it's bad. And he's like, no, it's not bad. And like he just gave me like a stern talking to for like 30 minutes and all that. But but it's really weird though, because I consider myself, I was a late bloomer when it came for me to like girls and stuff like that. He thought I was gay. And he told me like you're my only son. Like I would like, he never worded it to me. He's just like, you don't like girls at your school? Like I was like 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, no, girls are annoying. And he was like, as each year went on, I saw like the look of concern, like as each year that he would. First, he was like around 8 or 9 years old. So how the girls in your school? I was like, Dad, they're annoying. 9 years old. He would ask me the same question. I'm like, Dad, they're annoying. 10, 11, 12. 11, 12 years old, he started having a look of concern. And then eventually, like, so his thing was, I think he is conservative when it comes to me. Like, he wants his own son to be straight. He doesn't want his son to be gay, but he also thinks it's wrong to be homophobic. So it's probably a confliction that he has.
It could be like one of those things where, like, if I had a kid, I would not want them to be trans because of the difficulties associated with it. So like in current time. So like, I don't know, it could be one of those things where it's like, oh, if you're gay or if you're trans or whatever, like that could make your life a little bit harder.
That's one thing. But what we're talking about in particular, having regressive viewpoints. I noticed some posters in the cafe, they'll run back and say, oh, you said this years ago. And I'm like, motherfucker, is it not possible for me to change my opinion? Like, yeah, I said this shitty ass thing like 4 or 5, 6 years ago. Sometimes even longer than that. How do you feel in general, not just like in the cafe, but just in the internet? Like someone grabs somebody's tweet that they made like back in 2011, 2010 or something like that. And they're like, oh, look at what they said when they were like a teenager or a young adult and stuff like that. In my opinion, I feel like practically every single person on this world, in this planet, has had regressive viewpoints.
Yeah.
Especially way back then before the internet. Like everyone has always been saying ignorant, racist, homophobic, you name it, misogynist stuff. I've said misogynist stuff just recently in a relationship thread. I'm just going off about women and shit. Like,
yeah.
those are my experience and stuff like that. But then I realized, I really gotta tone this shit down, because of how I'm fucking coming across. But
Self-aware, yeah.
yeah, granted, like, yeah, some of the stuff I was saying, I think it was, yeah, I was going too far, like comparing like fucking women are werewolves and shit. But like, I think, what do you? I just think it's wrong to kind of like try to grab someone's like shit post that they made a long ass time ago. I'm not talking like this year or even last year. I'm talking way back when they were younger and experienced. I feel like if that person's shown to have changed, they changed. So what's the purpose of like trying to like dig something up and make someone like look like worse off than what they really are?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it depends on what they said. I don't think maybe I don't know. It's hard to have a hard and fast line with this stuff because like
Yeah.
there could be some heinous shit that that someone said like a long time ago. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm talking about like 5 years plus ago. Like very heinous shit that they took zero effort on either apologizing for or whatever. And then when I don't know, I think the best thing for those people to do is apologize for it and say they changed and they're working like they're continually working to fight their prejudice. A lot of people think apologizing to a huge group of people, especially online,
Yeah.
like not just talking about the forum, but just in general, see it as a weakness or as some sort of like, oh, nothing will ever satisfy them. But like nothing will satisfy everybody, but there's no harm in not trying. Right? So like if someone pulled like shit from 10 years ago from me and then like, oh, Natalie did this, I would apologize for it. I'd say I don't think this way anymore. And
Take ownership of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten, I've worked on this for that long time and like I can't say like it's not my place to say I've redeemed myself from it, but I've learned I'm a different person. Like just saying that will satisfy most people. There's always going to be unhinged people bringing that up, and it's going to be both on the left and the right. It doesn't matter. So like
I'm kind
I
of
don't
laughing
know.
right now because I'm thinking of. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you're
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. You go.
Imagine like people in the cafe doing that. So I'm just laughing, like someone just making like a huge like thread, like apology section, and there was someone just saying, like Crown Eagle, for example, just making like a huge. I apologize to the trans community. I've
Oh,
had
that's insane. That'd be fucking insane.
So that way, like if anyone tries to go back, well, remember when you said this about, he's like, hey, I made this thread, so fuck off. That shit would be so fucking wild to me.
This is kind of an aside, but there's like some forum drama I feel pretty bad about, and
Yeah.
one of them involved like pulling stuff that somebody has said, from like not too far long back, but like from a while ago, and I feel pretty bad about it now, especially knowing that that person's like a chill person, but we kind of buried the hatchet now. But like I feel like I don't know. I think even people calling out sometimes, like I hope they're like that, where it's like, man, I was kind of a dick doing this. Like it's not.
How you know? Oh, go ahead.
It's not fun pulling receipts from like long ago like that and being, I don't know, not maybe not conniving, but like being a little bit weaselly, digging up info like that.
Especially unexpectedly out of nowhere, like you're arguing with someone, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go grab some stuff," and then like you're just posting normally, like you're just trying to have a good time, and then like someone just posting up like all these receipts. I've seen it happen to people. It's never happened to me, but like someone just posting up a whole bunch of like compromising stuff of you, that you probably would have worded things differently, or
Yeah.
you had a fucked up viewpoint. But I think I don't know. I feel like a lot of us just are too young, or not too young, too old to be doing shit like that. I think like Tenson's in the cafe. I keep on circling back to the cafe because we're talking about our community, but I'm also speaking in general. I feel like a lot of people are on edge when it comes to particular topics. So everyone's looking, hey, where's the weak point? How do I diminish this person's character, their credibility, and stuff like that? But it my dad obviously probably wasn't like he gave me a stern talking to regarding like LGBTQ and all that. But let's just say I was saying some ignorant ass stuff. Like 12-year-old me, the same mindset of what I had right now. Mine is like just saying, oh yeah, he's gay, that's bad and all that stuff. But obviously, like just well, I don't think that's a good example. What I'm pretty much just trying to say is like I think there's a way to pull someone to the side depending upon the margin of the bigotry, homophobia, misogyny, whatever it is. Depending upon the margin, like, hey, I heard you say this. What did you mean by that? Now, if someone's just saying like, oh, fuck gay people or fuck black people, fuck Hispanic, whatever, there's no like, hey, what did you mean by motherfucker? Do you know what this person's about? Like, there's no, you don't need to try to understand this person.
Yeah.
But I also think like there's nuances where yeah, the person still has a regressive viewpoint, but they can possibly still be reached. You know, they could possibly still be reached. But
yeah, I think you can be kind in criticism for sure. It does I don't know. It doesn't always have to be in private though. Like I've criticized people softly, like friends of mine, like on the
yeah,
forum.
I've seen you do it in the cafe too. Like for whatever reason, I'm not gonna name any names, but I've seen you do it. Like I didn't like they kept on tagging you when it came to like trans related stuff, and that would be like if there was like a black issue or something like that, and like hey, we want the black guys experience. People would just be tagging me. Like why the
yeah, I hate that.
You tagging me?
I hate that. There's 2 posters who did it, and I have one on ignore permanently because of that.
Oh, shit.
But the other one, yeah, I was like, don't tag me. And I don't know why people get mad about that. I don't get it. Just don't tag me. It is a very simple request and they get mad about it. I guess it's because they want to hear my take on it. But man, nothing pisses me off more than that. It actually makes me mad. Like man, I see enough of this shit on Twitter. Or like I hear about it enough in real life. I'm so good. Let me see it on my own terms. But yeah, that was a criticism. That was a kind criticism, I'd say. Although that being said, I think my reply was very sarcastic, so I wouldn't say it's too kind. But
you could have. I mean, you would have been right.
I could have went deeper for sure.
Yeah,
but
I didn't.
This person just wanted to hear what I had to say, so I guess I don't know. Can't be too mad. The other person I put on ignore does it to annoy me, so he can stay ignored.
Well, we answered those questions. All right, so moving on from like chats about the cafe, but I want to talk about NF and whole. The forum is obviously dying. Do you have any suggestions or things that can be done to generate activity? The forums that die. Well, nah, I'll save that for the end. But like, yeah, like, do you have any suggestions? Like, I feel like NF is just gonna die at this point. There's no way to fucking save it. Like, I feel like as the years go on, there's gonna be people posting here and there, but I think eventually you see it within some sections. Like it will be hours before someone posts in that section. Where as before, when I was a teenager posting on there, oh, it was like being updated. But now it's like, do you feel like anything can be done to save it, or would you suggest, hey, like maybe it's probably merge with another forum, see about doing that, or changing the whole entire forum in general, or do you feel like, hey, good night, sweet prince?
I think the forum's going to die. There's nothing that can be done about it. Forums are dead. It's a dead medium. There's no saving it. As much as Jeff wants to make it a fan-friendly forum, smiley face, it's going to die. No forum is safe unless you're like something awful, or like a very niche board. But we're just an anime board that is slowly dying. There's no reason to go on it as like a young person when you have, well, I guess Reddit is dying too, but like as a young person, it's like, no, I have Twitter and all this stuff. I have Discord servers to go talk to people in real time.
Discord killed forums.
I don't think Discord killed forums. I don't think so. Discord is just like another IRC. and IRC used to be a huge like hangout for people on forums, and I feel the same way about Discord. I think what killed Discord, or not, no, what killed forums is large aggregate websites like Reddit, Twitter, like those, and Facebook, and like all those social media platforms, which essentially provide the exact same service, just in one location, which is kind of what the internet has gone to. GeoCities and all those things died because Dig existed, uh, because Reddit existed. You have no reason to go to like small specific websites anymore because there's just no reason for it. There's a Reddit thread about it. There's a Discord community about it. So I think Discord had a small part in it, maybe, but I don't think it's largely responsible.
But on NF, we get to have these cool, flashy avatars and signatures and stuff like that. How I don't understand. Like, how could Reddit defeat NF? Like NF is way above Reddit.
I think so too. I'm not saying I love the things that have essentially replaced forums. Like I like forums specifically because they give me a chance to think. They give me the time to think. Right? It's not immediate, so I have more time to think about posts, like the posts that I put out there, and the posts that I'm reading. Alongside, like, oh, I can do like this customization, like I can have like a little avatar, have a little avatar guy, and I can be associated with that forever. I don't know, like there's no replacing that, and I don't like Reddit. Reddit is not a good forum. It's just too large. You get lost in the mix, and that sucks. I like having a reputation. And
like on NF, you can have a whole entire rival. You can have your group of friends, and you can have your rival that doesn't like you. Like it's like its own little like anime or like small like little movie and stuff, you know?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I feel, but like I don't know. For me, I really like Discord, but Discord doesn't replace forums for me. Discord is just a more immediate way to talk to people, just like Skype was.
I really do like Discord. When I left Cafe Cord, I left because I was having an issue with a few of the users up in there, but not like in general. Just a few people that annoyed the fuck out of me, so I left it.
Yeah, me too.
But I think Discord is like I really do enjoy it, and honestly, I feel like no, I don't think NF should make a Discord group because it would be the same thing though, wouldn't it? Like it would be the exact same thing if someone created a NF like general Discord chat. It would be the same thing. So I don't think that would work either.
Yeah, I think it would be more toxic, and it would be kind of the same thing.
I think a lot more people would become more involved with one another for whatever reason. Because even though it's the same thing, I feel like Discord has a layout that would make people want to traverse more and like read other sections and stuff like that. I don't know. At least for me, I feel like
I think so. I agree with that.
Going to Discord, like I'm like, all right, like let me go to this. What are they posting up in here? What are they posting up in there and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's much easier to switch between channels. It's also honestly, I feel closer to people that I talk to on Discord than I do on forums. Like I have like many friends on Discord from the forums that I've gotten closer solely through Discord.
Plus, you can do so many activities on Discord.
Yeah, I don't really do activities. I just talk to them. Like I don't feel that same sort of connection with other forum posters that I talk to a lot. Like I really like Bazu, and I really like who else do I talk to? Yeah. Yeah, I really like Bazu, and I like a few other posters. But like I don't know, I'd say we're friends ? But like I don't know much more about him in that way. Meanwhile, I'm like friends with like random people like Stunna and Parallax, which is like barely, but he's on Discord and he's a funny guy. Or like Natty is someone I'm friends with, or AFG I'm friends with, and I feel much closer to them solely because of Discord, not because of the forums.
I feel like Discord allowed me to see the really good and I'm not just exaggerating, but it allowed me to see really good in people, but also like I don't know, like you're still gonna have your animosities towards people and like drama and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But, hey, I appreciate your time. Oh, well, I do have one final question. What is one final thought that you want to leave with our listeners? Anything? I'm ending it with this, Felipe.
Stay in school. Do drugs.
All right.
MDMA rocks.
You heard it here, everybody. Hey, Natty, I really do appreciate you affording me the time as well as the viewers. And yeah.
Thanks for
man,
having me.
Yeah, I feel like I know you a lot more. I feel like the viewers are going to know you a lot more. You really have carried this conversation, as opposed to boring Itachi or sleepy voice Itachi.
That's just saying I talk a lot.
No.
That is covert language, buddy.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, Natty.
Thank you.
All right.